Chris Van Hollen instantly regretted this.
And I have to tell you directly and personally that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job.
During a Senate hearing, Van Hollen spent his entire time throwing accusations at Rubio. But Marco wouldn't let it slide, and he dismantled them one by one, sending Chris into a complete meltdown. And today, we're covering it all. So if you enjoy content that cuts through the noise, hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
Mr. Secretary, you and I served together in Congress for 15 years. We didn't always agree, but I believe we shared some common values. A belief in defending democracy and human rights abroad and honoring the Constitution at home. That's why I voted to confirm you. I believed you would stand up for those principles. You haven't. You've done the opposite. And you used to speak with conviction about the importance of foreign aid as a tool to advance American values and interests. Then you stood by while Elon Musk took a chainsaw to USAID and other assistance programs. Sudan is a country where, by the administration's own determination, a genocide is unfolding in Darfur. But here's where it goes from cruel to despicable. While cutting off food aid to Sudanese families living through an actual genocide, you're fast-tracking white South Africans for refugee status under a manufactured claim that they are the victims of genocide.
It's beyond me why Democrats picked USAID as the hill they wanted to die on. I literally don't get it. Sure, every large agency does some good here and there, but even a broken clock is right twice a day. Everything that's come out proves the existence of bad spending and questionable projects. Second, Van Hollen gave the game away when he specifically focused on the white South Africans, as if that somehow made the argument stronger. Did we mention the guy that Trump put the spotlight on at the White House, who was inciting against the Boers, is doing fine politically and still holding rallies where his supporters happily dance along to his racist chants? Chris then moved on to the Kilmore-Abrego-Garcia case, hoping he could finally land a few punches.
Where have you focused your energy instead, Mr. Secretary? Well, your first trip as Secretary of State was to El Salvador, not to promote democracy, but to cozy up to President Bukele, who calls himself the world's coolest dictator. The result was a cash for collusion deal to deprive people living in America of their constitutional rights to due process. The Supreme Court, in a 9-0 decision, instructed you to facilitate the return to the United States of Abrego Garcia, who the administration admitted was wrongfully deported to El Salvador. Your response? You've openly flouted judicial orders. When asked whether you have been in touch with El Salvador to return Abrego Garcia, you boasted, quote, "I would never tell you that. And you know who else I would never tell? A judge." And I have to tell you directly and personally that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
Oh no. The guy who flew all the way to El Salvador for a margarita photo op now regrets his vote. This is also the same senator who spent years railing against PAC money, while some of his donors include Warren Buffett's hedge fund, Comcast, Morgan Stanley, and the list goes on. This isn't an attack against him. We're just showing that he's mastered the art of saying one thing while doing another. In other words, we've seen what makes him cheer, so this performance was hardly surprising. What's worse is that Chris blew past his allotted time and turned his remarks into a 7-minute rant, bouncing from topic to topic while insisting Rubio was wrong about everything. Marco was sure to push back though, and he dismantled his arguments one by one. But before we get there, we have a quick word from today's sponsor. A few weeks ago, we covered Saga Metals, trading as SAGMF in the US and Saga in Canada. It's a company that has become a regular feature on our channel, but we're revisiting this story sooner than expected because in a very short time, it looks like they've hit another home run. In less than 6 months, they've changed the scale of their company. Less than 48 hours ago, Saga announced a 100% drill success rate across all 57 drill holes. achieving it ahead of schedule. And that's only one part of the story. Saga also brought in $10 million through a financing round focused entirely on drilling, adding major capital to an already aggressive program. They strengthened their position further with a titanium acquisition secured right from under Rio Tinto, a global mining giant worth over $100 billion. That was in the same district as the largest titanium mine on the planet. Then came Project Wolverine, expanding Saga's footprint inside one of the region's most important mineral belts. So why is this happening so fast? Simple titanium and critical minerals have become national priority. Between Project Vault, executive orders, and billions in government support, Washington is aggressively pushing to secure domestic supply chains. Even the State Department is now coordinating with 55 foreign ministers on a critical mineral strategy. Saga is positioning itself directly where policy, capital, and defense demand are moving. And so far, they've over-delivered in the first half of 2026. So, if you want to learn more about this story, check out the link in the description. Now back to the video.
May I respond?
You may sit.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job, based on what I know.
Well, that's
about
just
your
a
record and
flippant
what you
statement,
stand
Mr.
for.
Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman?
You may.
I didn't
Okay.
ask a
Senator,
question.
please let the Secretary have
I'd be
the floor.
happy to, but then I can respond to his
Your
response.
time's up, Senator, and willfully used, I might add.
Well-
your remarks do not represent the view of this committee.
Well, Mr.
Secretary, please.
Well, I'd like to. I can't respond to everything he said because much of these are untrue, but I'll go through a few. First of all, I'm actually very proud of the work we've done with USAID. For example, I don't regret cutting $10 million for male circumcisions in Mozambique. I don't know how that makes us stronger and more prosperous as a nation.
I raised
don't regret
Sudan, Mr.
psychosocial support services.
I
for
raised
USAID.
Sudan, Mr. Secretary.
Can I
not
respond, Mr.
Mozambique.
Chairman, or do I?
Senator, I'd ask you to suspend. You had 7 straight minutes. Secretary Rubio.
Well, I can go on. I mean, there's other things here. We spent $227,000 for Big Cat's YouTube channel from USAID. We spent $14 million for social cohesion in Mali, whatever the hell that means. So I can go on and on. I got the list here, and there's more. I didn't even bring the whole list.
What's interesting is that while Van Hollen was speaking, Rubio sat there, just let him finish without cutting in once, despite a stream of half-truths being stitched together into a lengthy attack. The second Marco got an opportunity to answer, though, Chris started jumping in, trying to cut him off. That alone tells you quite a bit. He clearly had no interest in hearing a rebuttal, because the last thing he wanted was for those claims to be challenged. But Marco kept pressing ahead, then dropped one fact that sent Van Hollen into a full-blown meltdown. You gotta take a look.
In the case of El Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members, including the one you had a margarita with. And that guy is a human trafficker, and that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear. In the days to come,
Mr.
you're going to see
Chairman,
who you went to
look,
defend.
I'm sorry,
please,
Mr. Chairman.
Secretary
No.
Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated comments
Senator,
like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor. You've had
Secretary
your time.
Rubio should take that testimony to the federal court in
Senator,
the United States because
well,
he hasn't done it under oath.
Here's another point, okay? There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy. No judge can tell me how I have to outreach to a foreign partner or what I need to say to them. And if I do reach to that foreign partner and talk to them, I have under no obligation to share that with the judiciary branch. If I started sharing with courts, or frankly, with the media, my conversations with foreign leaders and all of their details, no foreign leader would talk to me again, and we would break trust with them.
Exactly. But in this era of judicial activism, it's somehow becoming acceptable for a single judge to put an entire policy agenda on hold. And this tactic has been heavily abused by both sides, though one has been more affected if we're being frank. The larger point is that the separation of powers, it exists for a reason, and it's worth protecting, because at some point in the future, a Democrat will be in the White House, and the Republicans will be using the exact same playbook against them, since multiple precedents are already being set. So, the country will be stuck in limbo while our politicians focus on blocking each other's agenda instead of on focusing on what's important.